The crew would push that car back to the garage and go to work there as well. This racetrack really beginning to take its toll. Even though your teammates doesn't mean you can't fight on the racetrack. The number 2 of Alan McNish slips past that silver number 1. He got blocked by the GTC entry, the number 11, that gold GTC entry from JDX Racing, I should say. And McNish takes advantage and takes the position. Look at this, down into the hairpin. There's a look from on board Marcel Fessler. You say there's always plenty of action. Simon Pagenaud in the black prototype trying to get past Ed Brown in the 02, that black and green entry from Extreme Speed Motorsports. Both Honda-powered chassis, both Honda chassis from on board. And you can see the contact there. So problems for the 02. The 01 team car came to pit road. And Chris Neville is there.
Our overall leader, Marcel Fessler, in pit lane, spoke to this team just about 10 minutes ago why they left this car out on the racetrack during caution. They said they wanted to keep some of the other cars in P1 a lap down. That's why they split the strategy between the 1 and the 2. Alan McNish just went down the front straightaway, so he's taking over the overall lead. And fuel done on this car. And just listening to them on the radio, it sounds like they're having a much better time with this car, the handling of it. I talked to Brad Kettler about 15 minutes ago on the 2 car, and he said they're really kind of dealing with a car that's a little bit loose right now. So on that last stop, they did make some changes to the number 2 car.
So back on track, Marcel Fessler goes, and split fuel strategies for the 2 Audis right now here at Sebring. We take a look at this racetrack. We talk about how challenging it is. 3.74 miles, 17 corners, turn 1, turn 17, turn 7, all good passing areas, but you'll also hear us refer to the corner numbers by names. The hairpin, the Fangio chicane, Gurney bend, but perhaps Sunset bend late in the day is one of the more important ones. That's great to look at it on paper. Let's have a driver take us around with Guy Cosmo in the Patron track map.
It's been a long off season, but we're back. Welcome to the 61st annual Mobile One 12 Hours of Sebring. I'm Guy Cosmo, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite points around this awesome racetrack. Turn 1, one of the greatest corners in all of racing. Very high speed, very high commitment. The entry is really wide, lots of opportunity for passing on the way in, a blind apex in the center, and on the exit, the road really narrows, which makes it very difficult to see your exit during the nighttime. Lots of passing, but a lot could go wrong in a very quick period of time. We finished the technical corners for turns 3, 4, and 5, and now we are at turn 7, formerly known as the Sebring Sandbox. Drivers are greedy, and we used to cut this corner as much as possible to save time and distance, but we would kick up dirt all over the racetrack, and it used to be filthy. We've got a new curb here to prevent us from cutting corners because cheating is bad. Now, if you hit that curb, you're going to break your car. That will not be good. After one of the longest straightaways in North America, where T1s reach speeds of 180 plus, everyone else about 160, we come to the notoriously bumpy turn 17. Your main objective? Get to full throttle as you wrestle your way over the big bumps from apex to exit to start another lap at Sebring.
Great to see Extreme Speed back in American Le Mans Series competition. Moving to the P2 category, also great to have Johnny O'Connell and Justin Bell joining me in the booth for the next couple of hours. And the battle in GT, and Johnny, I know this is dear to your heart. It is a good one. Right now, it's Richard Westbrook who leads in the number 4 Corvette. The Malicelli in the Risi Competizione Ferrari holding on to second place in GT, but some good fights throughout that category.
Some great fights and a really good job so far by the number 4 team there. Having the lead, getting it. Oliver Gavin had a great stop. They're going through the rotation. Tommy Milner followed through, but there's the 62 car. They lost some positions at the start of the race. They have been fighting back. These are the guys that I think are going to be challenging Corvette the most, but there have been several times where you see Viper, you see BMW. I mean, we are so early in the race, and right now the temperatures are coming up, so teams, Justin, they're going to different tire strategies, and it's going to be interesting to see who has the best understanding of their tires as the temperatures change.
And you just said it. The temperature this week is so high compared to today that it has been the rest of the week. And as we watch the BMW, the new Z4, its opening race here, debut in North America, it is a fabulous. I'm really fascinated by this car. I got the chance to really get up and close with it this week, and I really like it. Some challenges for them. They've come into this really with the car only been here a couple of weeks, and even though the Raillet guys went over there and worked on the car. It was very much according to BMW Germany's instructions on how they put it together. So now they've got a little bit of work to develop it. Remember, they knew the M3 so well. So this is really very much the opening night for them.
And Joey Hand up on the wheel right now, and that Z4, like you said, running well. They still have a lot of work to do. And for the fans around the racetrack especially, the sound of the BMW, very different this year. Still a V8, but it's a 4.4-liter V8 instead of the 4-liter V8 from last year. But more importantly, a different cam, 7,500 RPM, a lot lower RPM, but a lot bigger rumble from that V8.
Well, and you know what? It's BMW. Expect great things from them. We're expecting great things from these guys. The Viper, they've had half a year, all winter off, to develop this car and really to show and learn, you know, what they accomplished last year. I am expecting these guys to really step up their game. And so far for this Sebring, they're doing a super job.
Remember last year, there was the pressure of no expectation on them. And that's the perfect way for a team, a manufacturer with a new race program to come out, low pressure, just get on with learning. But of course, when you do some testing over the winter, you debut at Sebring here. It is Dodge SRT. They were winners in the past. They won NASCAR championship. I mean, these guys know what they're doing. So they're out here right now, and if they finish, they'll do really well. But I think if they run well, they could almost get up there on the podium, which would be a fabulous result.
Well, and Justin, at this place in particular, because they in all their testing, they ran really well. You see BMW, Joey Hand, they're making a move. Now right there, that's Bryce Miller in the Porsche, in between the Corvette and the BMW. He's been fighting to stay on the same lap. He lost that position to Westbrook. I don't know whether or not that played into that role or not. But Joey Hand, BMW, stepping up.
And Miller off on the road a little bit right there. Joey Hand now trying to get past him. And remember last year, the fight between the BMWs and the Ferraris. You're seeing it again, and we still have a long way to go. Miller not wanting to give up that lap.
Not wanting to, Brian, but when you have a little bobble coming out, he hit the dirt on the exit there. You're going to get the slingshot, and the BMW perform that beautifully. And there is no defending it once you get down there into the braking zone, is there?
Well, and especially this early in the game. Now, Miller there right now, once Westbrook got by him, he's down a lap. He should let these guys continue to race. You know, that's what I always figure would be, you know, good manners. I do the same. Fall in behind the Ferrari and try to stay with him. Because right now he's messing up a great battle. But if I'm Joey Hand in the BMW, I'm stoked about this because all of a sudden I've got the leader in my sights and I'm pushing hard to catch him.
Back behind this battle, remember we talked about the Vipers and the development that has been going on there. The car getting better and better. It's been strong. They've had to work on some of the technical aspects, but the engine, it's been very reliable. For more, let's go to Chris Neville.
And during Mark Goosen's stint, we saw him pass the pole sitting Ferrari out there. Mark, Johnny O'Connell and I were watching the car on the racetrack. Looks really good over the bumps, but a little bit twitchy under heavy braking.
Yeah, it's true. The car is a little nervous, especially in the braking zones. But you know what? This car's really great. It's an honor to drive that Viper around Sebring. It's a very bumpy track, and like you said, we're absorbing the bumps pretty good. And I was surprised. I have to say I was surprised with the rhythm that we could keep up as from the beginning. Had a real good start. I got straight into a good rhythm with the other guys. You know, had a flawless run. Car feels good. It's great to be fighting the Ferrari.
The Corvettes have been running up front all day. How is your car compared to the other makes in GT?
Well, it's hard to say because you know what it's like in the beginning of the race. Everybody's fighting each other really hard. But you know what? So far, so good. We had a good comparison with the BMW and the Ferrari. And you know, it's the start of the year. It's still a new program for us, but I'm sure we get there.
These guys are pushing hard.
Pushing hard, that 8-liter V10 thundering towards the front, and we talk about the reliability. It's been there for Viper. They just needed to fine-tune. This is how you fine-tune a move around a BMW.
Yeah, that's 17 over the bumps. We were just talking about how good that car is over the bumps. The BMW taking a little bit wider line, and when you're on that wider line, Justin, you know you can get into a bump pretty significant. But right now, you follow him in, out wide, tuck underneath. Good move here, knowing the way the momentum's going to go. This is ninth grade geometry.
Very nicely executed. We're better at this than we were at geometry.
There's no doubt about that. Back there is the number 3 Corvette back out on the racetrack after the work done underneath the tent, trying to get that transmission in order, but the 4 car has not skipped a beat. And there it is, the leader in GT with Richard Westbrook behind the wheel.
Johnny, I want to bring something up for the viewer, which is we saw Jan Magnussen in there just having a little break before he got in the car. The disappointment, the pressure on a driver when you're full of anticipation for potential victory at a race like this after such a successful background here. And then what happens is you have your car come out so early on in the race with a problem. You've now got to do 11 hours of hard racing, the same speed, the same pressure, same risks, but really almost for no benefits at the moment. So there's a lot like this, but of course, for the man that knows exactly what's happening on, you got Kelly with Doug Feehan.
Doug Feehan is Corvette Racing's program manager. Doug, bit of a rough start there for the number 3, but for the number 4, it seems like everything's going as planned.
You know, Kel, in this business, the highs are highs and the lows are lows. Right now, we're rocking it with the 4 car. 3 car turned out to be a little electrical problem, a cabling problem. Pin came loose in the paddle shift system, and so it took them a while to diagnose that, but we're back out there running with it. We'll figure out what the fix will be in the future, and 3 cars are going to run to the end.
Let's talk about the competition. You've got an old rival back there with those SRT Vipers and Aston Martin, Risi Ferrari, even tougher than in the last couple years.
This is truly a global competition when you look at the spread of the manufacturers that are participating, and all of them have spent all winter doing one thing, and that's working to take us down from the championship zone.
The list of wins you've been a part of is extensive, but to win the 12 Hours of Sebring in its last year under the ALMS banner, what would that mean?
Well, I want to tell you, we had a very precarious start here. This was always our Bermuda Triangle place. We want to capture the last one so we can leave here with a sweet taste in our mouths.
All right, we'll keep an eye on it. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Cal.
Well, Corvette Racing does indeed know how to win at Sebring. Ollie Gavin will see if he and his teammates can pull that off. A lot of history from Sebring. There a look at your leaders, the 5 different classes. Let's take a look back 30 years. 1983, 30 years ago, saw the race's biggest upset. It was the early days of the fabled IMSA GTP era. The 1981 Daytona 24-hour winning Porsche 935 was converted to a 934 and stole the show, taking the race win in the final half hour. It was the first time a non-top class car won overall at Sebring.
We strongly encourage you not to drink and drive. A message from the Patron Racing Team.
Everything we ever thought of. Everything we fight for. Everything we dream of. Everything we are. The 911. Porsche identity.
So this performance football is another way Bridgestone is bringing its tire technologies to the world of sport.
That's right. The same polymer technologies that allow you to take sharp turns with maximum precision on our Potenza tires is being put to use here. Troy Aikman and Deion Sanders are helping us test it out. Troy seems to like the control.
That ain't right, man.
Deion,
That ain't right.
not so much.
Giddy up now, Deion.
At Bridgestone, our passion for performance knows no bounds.
Nice morning, Scott.
Hi. At a morning of tiny voices crying out, feed us.
I don't understand.
Your grass, man. It's a living, breathing thing. It's hungry, and you've got to feed it with Scott's Turf Builder.
Attaboy, Mikey. 2 feedings now in the springtime. Strengthens and helps protect your lawn from future problems.
Get Scott's Turf Builder lawn food. It's guaranteed. Feed your lawn. Feed it. Scott's is proud to be the official lawn care company of Major League Baseball.
The Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring on Speed is brought to you by Tequila Patron, simply perfect. By Chevrolet, find new roads. By Michelin, a better way forward. And by Mobil 1, the world's leading synthetic motor oil brand, Mobile One.
Look at the crowd. The weather absolutely perfect this weekend. It's been this way since Wednesday when we got here, really, and the crowd loving it, and the competition intense through all the classes that are running here today. We've had good battles in P2, in GT. There's a look at Lucas Lohr in the number 6 entry from Muscle Milk, full-time American Le Mans Series competitor, reigning champions in the class, but good battles in the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge category from the drop of the green, and those teams doing a great job to get adjusted to the new Continental Tire that they are running this year. Right now, the leader in the category is the number 52, and there he is, David Estella. This is his first sports car race. He's a Firestone Indy Lights driver, been in that series the last couple of years, making his debut in sports cars, and he can pedal one of these Prototype Challenge machines. But Calvin and I spoke about this earlier, guys. When you see single-seater drivers coming into sports car racing, driving the car isn't the problem. It's getting used to all the other things that go with sports car racing, like sharing.
Yeah, and I was chatting with him on yesterday, and you know what I love when you get a driver fresh into our sport, in our area of the sport, is their unbridled enthusiasm. Maybe it's because they don't know what's coming up.
Well, and so many single-seaters come into sports car racing and renew their love for the sport. Now, one of the difficult things that drivers from single-seaters have when they come to the American Le Mans Series or sports car racing in general is the difference in speeds. A lot of these guys have a hard time adjusting to the different classes. Okay, and not knowing, understanding that in one moment you could be racing a professional, another moment a guy that's not. So you always have to be on your toes and expect the unexpected.
And that is exactly right, is what is happening right now as you see Estella get around the blue and white entry, the number 7, that's being driven right now by, where did it go on my timing and scoring screen? It looks like the 7 entry, it's Mark Wilkins. No, it's Tommy Dreese in that car right now. Just a recent driver change. You can see that there's been body damage to that car. Originally, Dreese's car was all black, why it was a little bit confusing. But Estella having to work his way through, and the next up is the 05 that's being driven by Mark Wilkins right now. Both of those cars down a lap or 2.
But I'm very impressed by their overall lap times. Generally, across the board, they're the top guys are only a couple of seconds off the P2 cars. I'm really impressed by the way this category runs, and they look very nice and lightweight, don't they, Johnny? They look perfectly balanced. I reckon it is an absolute joy to drive around here. Probably a little bit bumpy. As you can see, the cars really do sort of oscillate over the bumps there, but I think it's very nimble. It's probably a very good Sebring car.
Well, and running second right now is Bruno Junqueira, who, you know, again, a very solid IndyCar driver, steps into this category, and he got beat up by his IndyCar career. He wasn't having fun. It was hard. You got to bring money, a zillion other things. He finds himself now in a sports car in a great category, able to showcase his talent and you know, again, compete against other top professionals. I mean, it's a great category. And one thing, Brian, that all these guys tell you that drive these cars, they're fun. You know, and we all got into it for one reason, and that was that the fun factor of driving race cars is so high.
Well, absolutely, and it's rejuvenated Bruno Junqueira's career. Estella has his hands full. Mark Wilkins, that car a couple of laps down because John Bennett had problems early when he had that contact with Garcia. But Wilkins is a very talented driver. He won at Petit Le Mans with this team last year. So it's one of those deals where he's good. He's just been put in a car that's had some problems early on, and he doesn't want to give up anymore. So Estella's going to have to work hard if he's going to put another lap on the 05.
I think it's a case of catching's one thing, overtaking's another, but he's really been gaining on him quite solidly, and I don't think you're going to see the core car defend too hard if he gets in for a pass there.
Well, Wilkins won here at Sebring in the Prototype Challenge class with level 5 back in 2010. Let's take a look. You're on board. This is Bruno Junqueira into 17. And there's Estella. And now he's gone. I don't see Junqueira around. He's definitely increased the distance substantially, almost 5 seconds.
Yeah, you see Bruno, they're way, way wide. Now, the interesting thing about this racetrack, you know, is on the line, there's a lot of grip. You start moving a car width and then a car width, you lose significant amounts. And it's particularly true in turn 1. We see the 81 car on, early leader. That is in the 9, 10, 11, 12 areas, part of the racetrack.
It's Mirko Schultes in that car from Drag. Oh,
man. Expect the unexpected.
And that is what Sebring is about. And thank goodness the Ferrari, the number 62, that was the Risi entry. Malicelli paying attention as he saw Schultes out to the outside. Oh, and he doesn't see the Audi coming through, and that's what gets Schultes. It's the number 2 with McNish on board.
All right, now based on what we have seen in the past, do you give Audi a penalty? Because they've been throwing out penalties pretty darn easy for contact. That was a high-risk move by the Audi there.
I think that explains why he pulled across the track. He was shaken, not stirred there. And I think he just does his, and he's definitely no ball. And I think he just pulled out. I mean, it was like, oh my God, the engine's still going. I survived that. So kind of pretty much a rookie move. But that could have had a horrible effect, actually, for Ferrari.
And there is a look at David Ostello, the 52 of PR1 Matheson. Not at all uncommon to see them up front. Let's go to Kelly Stavis.
One of Ostello's teammates is David Chang. He was born in Beijing, split his time between Hong Kong and Washington, of all places. You're in your second ALMS race, David, but you're watching your teammate in his first ever, and he's got the lead in your category. What do you think of your teammate's work?
I mean, today's a very exciting day, being here at the 61st annual running of the Sebring 12 Hours, and getting this car up into P1. It's absolutely fantastic. Although we still have a long race to go, so, I'm in the car next. We're just going to try to keep it on track, keep it on the lead lap, and when we get towards the end, that's when all the gloves come off and the sprinting comes on.
In such a long race, people are looking for a good, consistent car. Is that what you think you have here with the 52?
Exactly. I think we have this car dialed in. I think our team is strong. All our drivers are experienced, and we'll be going for the win here for sure.
All right, we'll look forward to seeing you get in the car. Thank you, David.
All right, thank you very much.
Well, he says for sure, but nothing is for sure here at Sebring.
You know what? And Brian, I'll tell you, there's so many times when you're competing at Sebring, your car is leading and you're about to hop in it. You are nervous because all you can do is look bad. So, as we get to GT here, we still have a great battle. You've got the BMW 56, Joey and they're closing on Westbrook in the Corvette. These guys are having a great battle.
One of the things that all of the drivers have said about this new Z4 is that the handling is superb. The introduction of the Michelin tire has certainly been an advantage. Rolling speeds through the apex are good, but they just feel like they're down on straight line speed a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, they really are, I think, able to get into the corners very well. When we watch the cars out there, they can get in, they can roll through the center, they can get off well. They're just, nothing that, let's face it, the big manufacturers do not approach racing. Even if it's a virgin race for this car, they're pretty well developed when they get here. So we say it's a new car, but it's not a new team. It's an amazing team, and it comes from BMW in Germany, so we know they're pretty hot when they get here.
Talk about closing down. The 91, the Viper, beginning to close down on the number 62 Ferrari of Malicelli. Farnbacher beginning to take that big V10 up towards the Ferrari, and it'd be interesting to see. It looks like GT Challenge traffic in front of Malicelli, if he can use that down in the hairpin to close even more.
He's actually had the fastest lap out of the top 5 GT cars for the past 3 laps, actually. So, Dominic, I think, is finding his stride. Also, remember, this car, I don't think, at the end of the year, last year, we saw that it had pace, but it didn't have consistency, especially through a long tire run. And, of course, with the increased temperatures here, oddly enough, I remember from my time in the Viper, I mean, obviously, a decade ago, so it's a very different technology. Once you've got the tire settled, it actually was very consistent through the mid to the end of a run. So maybe Dominic is definitely finding the car come to him.
And I think systems have improved on the Viper. One of the things that they talked about was improving the traction control. And Johnny, in the Corvette, you know how sophisticated that traction control is and how important it is to not only a lap time but consistency. The number 2 Audi now in the pits. They'll change the water bottle. And you can see the different rear wing, the almost double end plates on the back of the rear wing there on the number 2. Different. When you look at the 1, it's a single end plate. They're just trying different aerodynamic principles on those 2 Audis.
just finishing up fuel on the 2-car. We'll wait and see if they're going to do a tire change. No tire change for Alan McNish here, and I had a long conversation with Brad Kettler about this car. He said the handling was just a bit off, but what they were really seeing was tire degradation. And the way he explained it to me is we've got less cars here than previous years, so the track is not rubbering in as quickly. So that's why we're seeing the tire degradation. And they're just trying to get their arms around that. He said at some point in time, it's going to plateau, and then we're really going to know which compound we want to run the rest of the day and into the evening.
We just saw a problem for Ed Brown. Another problem, he had gotten together with Simon Pagenaud in turn 1 in his Extreme Speed Motorsports Honda ARX in the P2 category. Now a problem out of turn 16 onto the back straightaway, and I don't know if anyone was involved there. We just saw Brown sitting on the side of the road and then refiring and getting back underway. But it has been very busy here at Sebring. Let's take a look, and Brown back underway through turn 1, but let's look back at 16. Nope.
All alone, and you know, a lot of times, Brian, when you have contact with somebody else, it can shake a guy's confidence. They lose the rhythm and go on board.
It's a little loose on power down.
Well, you know what? And one of the things I know that they're trying to work with him on is left foot braking technique, and he could have just carried that brake in a little bit too hard, and it doesn't take much to make these.
Although he was under acceleration there, so maybe he was left acceleration technique. Well, but I'd like to bring in Brian. The fact he's got, maybe there's a problem there. Brake balance, brake bias. He's got fluids on the rear tire. He's got something happening there.
Something's not right.
But let's face it, Ed. I really have respect for him. He's done very well. He's dedicated himself, rather like a Scott Tucker had, just to be a great gentleman driver slipping up the ranks. But they're now in this P2 car. This is very different. Much better visibility, but very hard on the edge. And
I just didn't want to go over the curve, dude.
We're just thinking there talk about the curves, but GT cars have a bigger window of compliancy for the driver.
All right, clear. Get on track when you can there.
They're just guiding him out. You need a lot of assistance, but when you are in a prototype, it's much harder because the margin for error on the tires and the arrow, and then he just turned in again. There's something very odd happening there.
Something doesn't seem right. Both of those spins were at moderate speeds, not high speeds at all, and it looks like the rear end just comes out. And to me, there should be a lot more grip in the back end.
I think he might have done his rear tires. When he had that big spin, he could have flat spotted it too much. Let's take a look.
Well, I just checked with the Extreme Speed team, and they're saying Ed Brown possibly getting a little bit of pickup on those tires. But let's also remember that this HPD motor has that new direct injection, and one of the issues this weekend has been the ECU. That ECU not having enough development time with this with the engine in that car, and traction control has been way off on both the Extreme Speed cars and the Level 5 cars, something that they have been trying to work on all week. That electronic control unit, the traction control typically very high tech in these cars. Pretty much these P2 cars running only about 75% of what a typical traction control will do in these cars. So maybe that's something that's kind of throwing Ed off too.
Well, and there's some damage to the car. We saw some of the the dive planes up front on the left front and askew. So Ed Brown trying to get the handle on that 02 HPD. The battles continue around Sebring International Raceway. It's the 61st running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring, and Ed Brown seeing what he can do. Will they bring that car into the pits and make some changes? No, he stays on track. It's Alan McNish in his Audi out in front. Plenty more to come. Just 2 hours and 46 minutes in the books, and a long way to go from here at Sebring.
Monday night, Are You Faster Than a Redneck is all new.
Oh, another little chick mobile. How cute.
John Reap and his Mullet Mafia roll out the big guns.
Show me the muscle!
To shut out these trash-talking drivers.
I would love to destroy those guys in the station wagon.
Hold up there, city boy. Listen to this, kitty cheap.
Don't miss an all-new Are You Faster Than a Redneck? Monday night at 9 Eastern, only on Speed.
Sebring International Raceway, Alan McNish in the number 2 Audi e-tron Quattro out in front, but a short while ago we saw him make contact with Mirko Schultes in the number 81 Prototype Challenge entry, and at the time we questioned whether there would be any type of a penalty. Take a look. This is what went down.
We brought Garcia in that same area for contact, but they are maintaining that consistency. And there's part of me, you know, as a fan of the sport and a participant of the sport, that likes that. Because, you know, when you go back to the original days of sports car racing, you know what? You raced clean. There wasn't this banging into each other or bulldogging your way by. I like the athleticism, Justin, that is needed to race guys clean.
Yes, Johnny, I agree partially. But when we look at that replay, I think he moved across quite generously instead of holding the inside when you have the race leader approaching you. And that plus 60 right now is just taken Alan a lot. So see, look at him moving across. He's off wide. He pushes him out. If I was Alan right now, that's the red miss box for me if I'm Alan McNish.
Yeah, but my point being is that he had no idea McNish was making that maneuver. In my eye, McNish is making a high-risk maneuver.
I tell you what, if I punch you right now, you wouldn't know it was coming, right? That's just the thing.
I am a ninja, and you're slow, and I'd block it easy.
Oh,
okay, let's just pick on Brian.
I'm going to have to sit between the two of them. The penalty has been served. Alan McNish is back out, but he'll lose the better part of a lap to Marcel Fessler.
Yeah, guys, just spoke with Brad Kettler about what Alan McNish was saying on the radio. They took a look at the contact, too, and Brad Kettler just kind of threw his arms up in the air. He, you know, is obviously looking at it as Alan McNish, great driver, trying to work his way through traffic, made a call there. Maybe it was a high-risk call, but he really didn't feel that McNish overly aggressively hit that car. It hit the back end of the Audi, so they're not happy about that penalty. But they told Alan, just put your head down. We still have over 9 hours to go, so let's just get back in this fight.
Well, and he didn't lose a lap to Fessler. He's close to it. As I said, he lost a lot of it and rejoined the fray just about a straightaway in front of Fessler. But, you know, this will be one of those disagreements that a lot of people have, including Johnny and Justin, for the rest of the event. It will continue into the Patron hospitality area later tonight, probably, between the two of you.
But, you know, I tell you, as long as they're being consistent with their calls. Now, it also leads us to one thing. As we see the 4-car in, they are reporting.
Or say, watch your speed. Joey Hand in the class lead of GT now as Westbrook falling down the order.
Is it the camera? The dashboard. There was a load of smoke came out and now it's jammed. It says third gear and all the red lights are on. Red, what lights are on? The smoke's gone now.
So you heard him saying smoke from underneath the dashboard, and you can see the red lights across the top. Are those the shift lights, Johnny?
Yep. You know what? And again, is this a repeat of what happened to the number 3 car?
It's electronic. He reported smoke. He said the dash went black for a second, but the dash was back up in the rear view mirror, which is a camera that looks at the back. You saw that screen. But there was smoke in the cockpit, and it was coming from the dash. I think I should go. So the crew going to work, and Kelly's there. I don't know if she can see more.
Well, we can see the crew feverishly looking around here in the dash area of that number 4 Corvette. You speculate it could be a similar issue to the number 3 car. I don't think it is. The number 3, they had to replace the transmission, the Megaline gearbox. They still couldn't fix the problem that Antonio Garcia was experiencing in the 3. They finally found something in the wiring that allowed it to finally free up. He was stuck in gear. It was working manually, but they couldn't get their power steering back. Now it looks like they just made a driver change, so I'm going to see if I can actually get in here and find Richard Westbrook and see what he can tell us. We've got Ollie Gavin behind the wheel here. I'm going to try to get to the bottom. In fact, I see Richard right now. Richard, what can you tell me? What did you see there in the dash?
We just had an electrical issue behind the dashboard, and the guys are sorting it out now. Hopefully it's not going to hurt us too much, but just a fuse or something.
Certainly a disappointment. You're out there leading, having some great battles with BMW behind you. Disappointment to have this delayed stop.
Yeah, I didn't hear the question, but yeah, I mean, you know, the car's running great, and it's still a long, long way to go, so nothing terminal. I think it's just a glitch with the electrical.
Looked like Gavin was ready to get in anyway. Was this close to a scheduled stop?
Yeah, I believe it was. It was pretty close to it, so it's not going to hurt us too much.
Thank you, Richard.
Well, and what Justin just circled on the dash was the N. That stands for neutral. he's not in neutral, Johnny, obviously.
Yeah, you know, they got some sort of issue there where the dash is not reading what gear you're in. Now, provided he can still drive this car, they can get after it. I was really interested to see.
Come in for a pit speed penalty. You need to come in and go to the penalty box.
Oh.
Let's listen.
Yeah, roger that, roger that. I have no shift lights. I have nothing. I have no idea what speed I'm doing. I've got no idea what gear I'm in.
Well, that's when you count.
And let's go old school. Don't be a pathetic driver.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. You get so locked into that technology. It was interesting because when Westbrook came down pit lane, why did he get a speeding ticket? Well, because he didn't have an indicator. His electronics weren't working. And if you saw his gear, position selector, he was showing third gear. So, obviously it's the electronics. And Westbrook wanted to get back out after it, saying that let's just drive this car.
When it goes boom, 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 shift.
Well, yeah, and you heard the crew saying watch your pit speed when he came in, but if his finger's on the pit speed limiter button, which electronically makes sure that they're at the speed, but the system's not working, the speed is going to be too high, and obviously that's what it is. There is Marcel Fessler. His day has been very good, except for the fact that we're hearing that he may have had an off. It'll be interesting to see, is that something that he did on his own, or was it working through traffic again that has created the problem? Number one started from the pole. Under braking. Down into the hairpin, and the rear just steps out. Now that's electronically controlled. The help on the downshift, let's listen.
He's just fully in there. He's under the braking. Hit a diff, locking out. He's fully engaged there. I like this. That's a good indication of just how hard everyone is pushing. They are comfortably 1 minute 29 in the lead right now, but you'd think that McNish was 6 feet behind the way he's pushing.
Well, yeah, and there's a lot of inter-squad rivalry there. You've got the young guns really wanting to beat McNish and Christensen and all that kind of stuff. So they are definitely pushing hard every lap.
And now the number 500 is in. David Hannemeyer Hansen behind the wheel of that car. Unscheduled stop, we understand. It's the second stop in the last 10 or 15 minutes. Hannemeyer Hansen was a revelation last year in P2. He shared a P2 entry from Conquest Racing with Martin Plowman, and Hannemeyer Hansen's supposed to be the gentleman driver, but there were times when he was every bit as quick, if not quicker, than Martin Plowman, who is a very experienced open-wheel driver, and he's stepped out. They've done a driver change. It'll be interesting to see if we can find out what the problem with that 500 is from Performance Tech Motorsports. Car now underway, but Hannemeyer Hansen had a great run. He had led at one point in time in the Continental Tire Prototype Challenge category, and now maybe this racetrack beginning to take its toll. We've talked about it. Now you see him messing with radio plugs, but there's also the driver ID plug there, Johnny.
Yeah, that's so timing and scoring can tell who is in the car. So a lot of times the driver has to change that switch, move that around, got a switch on the dash. A lot of them read it automatically.
Yeah, but it's all part of, right next door to us in our booth right now, I just went in there a bit earlier. There's two gentlemen on computers analyzing exactly that, monitoring what driver's in which car. It's very, very important. It's not just to let us know and the fans know. It's very important for timing and scoring.
Well, the 500 back out on track. Marcel Fessler driving like a superstar out in front. Tonight, the superstars of Supercross will battle it out at Indy, and a win here takes the victor one step closer to the title. Get down and dirty with Monster Energy Supercross from Indianapolis tonight, 7:30 Eastern, live right here on Speed. We'll be back to more of the 61st running of the Mobil 1 12 Hours of Sebring. There is a look at your 5 class leaders. Oliver Jarvis taking over the number 1 Audi e-tron Quattro from Marcel Fessler here at Sebring. Car running well in the lead after Alan McNish had to serve a penalty for contact with a prototype challenge entry. So now Jarvis will get his turn behind the wheel of the number 1. We just saw the number 1 in the pits. Let's check in with Chris and see how the stop was.
Well, that was a pretty good stop by the Audi team. Everything went well, except there was a little problem at the right rear, so about 2 seconds longer to change the tires than we normally see for that Audi. And then Jarvis did stall the car exiting pit lane. This young man starting out a great 2013, coming off his first race and first win in the U.S. at the Rolex 24. He's hoping to back it up and go 2 for 2 this year with a win here. So this young Audi driver really doing a great job over on U.S. soil.
Well, and typically we would have seen Andre Lauderer in the car with Fassler and Chelier. That team has won at Le Mans for the last 2 years in a row, but Lauderer had some prior commitments over in Japan, and they just want to get Jarvis some more time before Le Mans. There's Matteo Malicelli in the number 62, the Risi Competizione Ferrari, leading in the GT category. The 56 BMW, Joey Hand, had a spectacular run, but has come to pit road to make a stop.
And a clean stop it was for the 56 BMW Z4. Joey Hand hitting his marks. It was fuel and tires, those new Michelins. And this is his sister car, the 55. Jörg Mueller brought it in, but they've made a driver change. I believe it was Maxime Martin that got behind the wheel. You saw a little bit of trouble trying to close that driver's side door there, but Jörg got it done as they move on to those Michelin tires. Michelin, a new partner for BMW this year, and another smooth, clean stop. The 55 gets out just ahead of the 007.
You know, there's so much to learn. I mean, we talked about the new Z4 for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, but it's not just the mechanics of the car, just the driver change is different. The shape of the doorway is different. And that's something for the drivers to get used to as well.
It's actually a much smaller cockpit environment for the drivers to get used to. It has different visibility pickups, for example, on the A-pillars and things for the drivers sitting there. It is taking them a little bit of getting used to. Remember in the M3, they were actually sitting so far back. It looked like the steering column was about 9 feet long. So the steering, they could get as far back in the car. Different weight distribution in this car. And one of the, as you see, the Ferrari 458 come in right now. Battery tender car. Kelly, you're there?
The number 23, Alex Job Racing Ferrari in. It was Bill Sweedler, but he turned over driving duties to Lee Keane. Now, these guys couldn't be more excited about this new Ferrari program. Alex Job has just had a grin on his face ear to ear since they started. The challenge right now with these Yokohama tires that were developed for the Lotus, and they made the switch to the Ferrari so late that they're just using those same tires. They said they've worked amazingly well. The tire wear, they're so consistent. Over 47 laps during testing. They only lost 0.4 of a second off their quickest lap. So while they may not have the outright speed of some of the other GT cars, they hope that tire wear will help get them up to the top of the class.
Well, there's probably not a better car out there on tires than the Ferrari, the way the balance is. And the Yokohamas just really kind of came alive. Kelly said it all. It may not be the fastest tire out there right now, but it has certainly been incredibly consistent. That in turn helps the team learn and develop the car, and it helps the drivers get used to it.
Well, and Brian, you know what? I won 3 races here on Yokohama. So that is a company that is completely capable of doing it. But you know what? Again, these guys right now at Yokohama, they've got to be smiling because now they have a car that is a known quantity. Last year with the Lotus, they didn't know what they have. Now they can be compared to the Risi car and know where they stand.
Now, it hasn't been all easygoing. Down at the very bottom of the screen from the high shot, you see the Ferrari off there under heavy braking. See turn 3. Either the sound isn't synced up or he was still in the throttle and maybe looking down when the car dropped the wheel and began to get upset because that car was off the road and the throttle was still on. So maybe the sound isn't synced up perfectly, but...
Well, and what that was, Brian, is when you come through 1, you kind of swing out and set up a little bit for 2 as we see the Risi Ferrari now coming in for service. But again, he probably went to the brakes while he was loaded a little bit on the left side, got a rebound off. He was very lucky that was not a big wreck.
Malicelli brings the 458 in. It'll be a driver change for Risi Competizione.
Yeah, Matteo Malicelli having a great first run here. This is his first time running at the Sebring 12-hour, also his first time in a Ferrari 458, so he's really loving the car this weekend. And I checked with the team. We saw Olivier Beretta starting to fall back during his stint. The team said nothing wrong with the car. Olivier was just a couple seconds off the pace as these other two drivers, Matteo and also Jimmy Bruni. So Bruni in for his second stint right now, just finishing up tire change, fuel, and the Ferrari will be back out.
Malicelli, a former Ferrari Challenge champion in Italy, and he's finished twice in the 24 Hours of Le Mans in second place in GT, so he's experienced. It's just he hasn't raced in the United States, and if you haven't been here and you come to Sebring for the first time, it's an eye-opener, and this is an eye-opener as you look at this battle right here. Dominic Farnbacher in the Viper, you're right on board. It's the 56 BMW Z4 right in front with Joey Hand still shown behind the wheel.
And if you're Joey Hand, you're looking in your rearview mirror and you're seeing, holy cow, it's a friggin' Viper. I didn't think they'd get here this quickly. I mean, outstanding job by those guys developing that car. Again, they've done so much testing. Here we get to be able to compare top speed. Looks pretty close.
Well, and that was the complaint or the comment about the BMW. They felt like they were just off on top speed a little bit, and they're going to get split by the 16 from Dyson Racing. Remember, Dyson had problems earlier. They're back out on track, but that is going to split that battle at least momentarily.
Well, when Mark Goosens got out of the Viper earlier, I talked to him about the handling on that car, and he said the handling is very good early in the stint, but later in the stint, the back tire is definitely starting to get some wear. So after he got out of the car, took his helmet off, he jumped on the radio to talk to the drivers that were getting in and said, hey guys, what I figured out is you're still able to get a good lap time. You just really got to relax your hands as you're exiting the corner and going to power. Real light foot on the power because you don't want to burn up those rear tires.
And I wonder if that's an indication of the continuing development of the traction control that we talked about earlier. If it's not set perfectly and you're getting more wheel spin than you want, then this aggressive concrete is certainly going to take care of those rear tires. It's going to tear them up. We're being told that the 4 car has a problem with its taillights, and I wonder if that is electronically connected back to the problem in the dash.
And that's the thing. I mean, in all fairness to Oliver Gavin, when I said that jestingly about go old school, Oliver, because imagine a new jet. Picture that. You're sitting at home right now. You know you can relate to that maybe more than racing one of these. You're on a modern 747. If the electronics fail, you are deep in doo-doo up in the sky at 35,000 feet. On a racetrack, it's not much better, actually.
Oh, look at this!
Oh, look at him. Look at that.
Oh, man. Now Viper moves to the inside, try to make it 3 wide. Oh, we're getting big early.
And Joey Hand saying no, but I'll tell you what, there was enough top speed to get past the 23 Ferrari there. Perhaps not a great run off the last corner, but Joey Hand, this looks like this is reminiscent of the last lap last year here at Sebring as he was trying to hold off Beretta. Joey Hand giving up nothing in the early goings here.
Well, and Lee Keen, driving the Ferrari. We're on board with him now, so we can do, again, a comparison on top speed there, though. He knows he's with the big dogs. He's wanting to be there.
Joey Hand trying to use some GT Challenge traffic to his advantage. He does a little bit, but Farnbacher slips right on through, and for Joey Hand, no rest at all. He cannot get rid of the snake on his rear bumper.
Traction control didn't look too bad there, did it, coming off the hairpin?
One of the things that is very difficult to do is with your, large displacement engines is to get the traction control right there. You see Farnbacher doing a little bit of math, trying to set Joey up. We are in the perfect seat to watch us. You know what race car drivers are doing? They're analyzing their competition, seeing where they're strong, seeing where they're weak. Joey Hand doesn't have to go as fast as he can. He can actually slow down at his apexes, try to control the Viper. But right now, these guys, they're like two guys sparring, trying to figure out what the other strength is.
Well, let's watch the run through 16 onto the back straightaway. This is where we'll see the top speed differentials.
He's really setting it up here. You go through the left, brake nicely, get out wide. Use all those. BMW use more road than the Viper. Has Dominic got on the gas perfectly there? I mean, it's very interesting. He's put the Ferrari already in a box, hasn't he? He's put it in a box and said, he is no threat to me right now, so I can concentrate on the BMW. I tell you what, here's the Rebellion car coming down the inside. He really got a really good run. Joey had a beautiful run as they head down into 17. But you know what? It's going to ebb and flow for a while right now.
And you know how it is, Justin. We're still out there racing. And so you know what? When you're in that situation where you have a long straightaway, you make sure you get your run out. If you can get a good run out of the corner, hard for that Viper or a guy that's a similar speed car to get by you. But, if you're right now, if you're the Viper, you're trying to get in Joey Hand's mirrors, force him into that mistake, that's going to ruin his exit.
At that time, the speed differential didn't seem to be too extreme there. Joey Hand, at least for now, holding off Dominic Farnbacher. Prototype challenge, you see the 81 there, and then the Extreme Speed Motorsports 02. And the car loose again at the exit of turn 17. The 01 leading, that's the 01 that we're looking at. That's actually the leader in P2. He was loose at the exit of 17.
That car does look a handful to me, guys.
It does.
It's wide there. I think that this car isn't good as the tires get old. I mean, I don't know how long ago their stop was, but it looks like really, really hard work.
That was that for the lead? That's the 41 slipping past. It was for the lead in the class. And I can't help but wonder, the 01 seems to me to have the same affliction.
6 laps left in the stint.
Seems to have the same affliction that the 02 and Ed Brown had a little bit earlier. Right now, Scott Sharp has his hands full.
I checked in with the team just a few minutes ago as they were leading, and they said the car has really run flawlessly. Their one concern is these warm temperatures. They started out the day on soft tires. On the last stop, they did move over to a harder compound tire, so maybe that's why we're seeing Scott Sharp not being able to put down the laps that he was putting down earlier today.
And he's about to be under attack by Simon Pagenaud, who's moving up as well. So right now, the handling of that 01, the HPD ARX, not to Scott Sharp's liking, and he's falling back into the clutches of his competition.
Oh, that was ugly in the back there.
Sharp flashes by, then right behind him, Simon Pagenaud closing. You see the Audi, the number 2 of Alan McNish, back in the lead after the pit stop for the 01 when Jarvis took over. And this is the ebb and flow of endurance racing.
McNish pulled out 0.8 of a second on that last lap time. He's really got the hammer down right now. But I'd be interested from the pit lane reporters to know what the track temperature is right now, because it's very hot out there, and the heat soak is starting to come in.
Problems for the number 4, continuing problems. The taillight's not working, and we speculated that it might have something to do with the electronic gremlins under the dash. That seems to be where the crew is trying to effect repairs, and maybe something under there. All those, I mean, we talk about how electronic these cars are. One thing goes wrong, and then your brake lights don't work. And that is required in this series. So they think they've got it, and the 4 heads back out. Not good news with the problems for the 3 so early on, and now the 4 suffering as well.
And here's what you do. You soldier on. You push hard. You dig deep, because there's a champion.
Good.
There's a championship on the line, and these guys certainly want to repeat.
And he just said, it's good, it's good, it's good. You can see the dash, the gears beginning to show, lights beginning to show the shift positions. Things looking up for Corvette Racing. While we go to break, let's take a look back at some history from Sebring.
1993 featured the first time the Sebring race was stopped. It was also the last race of the GTP era. Dan Gurney's super quick Toyotas ruled the day, but torrential rains closed in and flooding caused the race's first ever red flag. Despite the conditions, the Toyotas were not deterred. Andy Wallace and Juan Fangio II claimed the win with the slowest average speed since 1952, just 70.699 miles per hour.
Get ready for the collector car auction that set the bar. Barrett Jackson, the one and only.
Sold that automobile for $79,000.
Live from Palm Beach. See the most amazing cars, all up for grabs, all in one place. Barrett Jackson begins April 4th, 2 Eastern. Presented by Bridgestone, only on Speed. We develop our tires under some of the harshest conditions, building more endurance and greater performance in every tire. This experience here ensures you have peace of mind. Here, visit your local retailer to find out how you can receive up to $100 cash back on a set of 4 Falcon tires. Falcon Tire, we get you going.
Rated E for everyone. We dream of speed, of pushing to the limit and beyond. We dream of racing the ghosts of history, of perfect passes and podium finishes. We dream to compete. We dream to win.
Xbox 360, starting at $99.
Today's charter tip, take your favorite sports with you. Baseball, basketball, football, soccer, that's a lot to keep track of, unless you have Charter. As a Charter customer, you can watch live ESPN programming on your smartphone or tablet, anywhere. Just go to Charter's TV on the Go page and download the Watch ESPN app. Then watch live games and shows at any time. Another way Charter gives you more access. Visit charter.net/tips to learn more.
Dandruff flakes meet Selsun Science. Sayonara. Selsun Blue gets to the root of dandruff, washing flakes out and putting moisturizers in. Selsun Blue. And for severe dandruff, get Selsun Blue Deep Cleansing Microbead Scrub.
In the grip of back or arthritis pain, break the grip with odor-free Aspercream. Powerful medicine clinically proven to relieve muscle and joint pain fast with no odor. So all you notice is relief. Aspercream. Break the grip of pain.
You ride on board the number 500 Charlie Shears behind the wheel. He shares that car with Tristan Nunez. Shears and Nunez, both graduates of the IMSA Prototype Lights Championship, powered by Mazda. And Mazda has done so much for so many of these young drivers throughout the way. They've got the strongest ladder system in motorsports.
Well, the 12 Hours of Sebring really is an event. The track's been hot all weekend with support races. John Doonan is the director of motorsports for Mazda, and it's all this ladder system where we see the superstars out here on the track today and looking for the stars of tomorrow.
You're right, Kelly, and Mazda, if anyone knows us, we dream big. We've dreamt big in developing the rotary engine, our latest Skyactiv technology, and the same holds true for young drivers. Joey Hand, John Edwards, Tristan Nunez in that number 500 Visit Florida car. And then yesterday, Neil Alberico, Scott Hargrove in the USF 2000 Championship, all running under Mazda power. And at the end of the weekend, 44% of the cars on track were Mazdas. So we're really proud of that. It's a testament to the reliability of our engines and our cars.
Certainly grateful for everything that Mazda has done in sports car here in the ALMS. Some of those guys that we've seen over the weekend could be up here racing against Joey Hand in the future.
That's right, and sometimes it's difficult because they graduate to another brand, Joey and John and Connor D. Filippi, but we're really proud to have given them the path, always in a Mazda-powered car as they grow their career, knowing that the engine and the car underneath them is reliable and is going to get them to the finish and maybe to the next level.
Hasn't been the perfect day here for the Dyson team. They've had issues early on, but they're pushing through them, and it's a long 12 hours.
We have a philosophy at Mazda. We never give up, and we've done that over the years. It led us to our victory at Le Mans, and certainly the Dyson guys in the four-cylinder Mazda are going to keep fighting, and it's a long season, so this is one step towards the championship.
Thanks for everything you've done, John.
Thanks, Kelly.
And those drivers have moved on to other makes and models, as he said. It's a good thing they don't give up because the 16 coming back to the pits. Jonathan Bomarito, a part of that Mazda program as well. We understand the 99 will have a speeding penalty on pit road. Another driver, Patrick Gallagher, a scholarship winner, competed in the Mazda MX-5 Cup this weekend. This is not a speeding penalty. This is below the speed limit. Problems continuing for the Dyson entry, the number 16 being shown well back.
We need 5 guys.
And you hear him say we're going to need 5 guys. Being shown 39th right now, Guy Smith behind the wheel, and the problems continued. The good thing is he did leave just enough space for cars to get into the pits. But if I were the Viper team right now, who occupies those first 2 pit stalls down there in pit lane, I'd want that stricken Lola out of the way.
Yeah, he'll be out of there any minute now under, unfortunately, 5 horsepower or 5-man power. But for anyone sitting at home, make no mistake, the level of preparation by the team over the winter and in the week leading up to the Sebring 12 Hours is extraordinary. When we walk around in the paddock, every component you can see is being prepared to an amazing level of performance with the reliability and the pace of 12 Hours at Sebring in mind. However, the electronics are just so tough to deal with. Mechanical, you can feel, they ratchet it together, get it at the right torque, but the electronics, almost impossible